Section 1, Megastack, Chapter 9, Production. There are very few experiences in our world that we'll ever have that activates the power that has always been inside of us. Stacking allows us to project out into the world the power inside of a drift, especially after hitting the Megastack regularly. Garrett J. White. The production strategies within the Megastack will take the problems that occurred inside of the drift and turn them into possibility. This is done through answering a series of questions inspired by the drift and shift model, based off the principles that we have discussed in the last chapter. Though you didn't see it in my inaugural conversation with a voice, there are 6 sections within the Megastack to be aware of. Section 1, Data. Section 2, Dark. Section 3, Drift. Section 4, Shift. Section 5, Lift. And Section 6, Light. The series of questions found within each of these sections is provided as an example for you to do on your own at the end of this unit on the Megastack. You've already seen them in action earlier in this book, so the purpose of this chapter will be focused on clarifying which questions are used inside of the Megastack, as we also break down the strategy behind each question in greater detail with production strategy number 1, attack with the stack. Production strategy number 2, challenge the drift. Production number 3, shift and lift. Production strategy 4, access the light. Summed up, we're about to get to work. There's some shit we have to do in order to grow, right? Section 1, the data. So first things first, let's get organized. The first section of the Megastack helps us collect some basic data and goes quickly, but don't underestimate its importance either. Taking a logical approach helps us take a step back from the feelings that were created when we got triggered, providing a structured environment in which to tackle the dark and drift in order to shift so we can receive the lift and light. Quite simply, we're asked the following questions to set the stage. Megastack Section 1, the data. Question 1, what are you going to title this Megastack? 2, what area of the core 4 are you triggered by? 3, who are you stacking? 4, what about that person are you stacking? 5, what feelings best describe your current state of being? Inside of Section 1, the data, we implement the strategy of attacking a specific area within our core 4, body, being, balance, or business, where we are currently in the dark. It could be something physical in our body, a mental or spiritual dilemma within being, an issue with a spouse or child within balance, or an unclear career move inside a business. Whatever the area, there's a person or event that put that triggered feeling into emotion to cause the drift. Production strategy 1, attack the dark. This then leads us into the second section of the Megastack, Section 2, the dark. This is also the first strategy within the production portion of the Megastack, which sets the frame for us to tackle the following questions. Question 6. In this moment, why has blank triggered you to feel blank? 7. In this moment, if you could scream at blank, what would you say? 8. In this moment, if you could force blank to think, say, or feel, do anything, what would that be? 9. In this moment, with no filter nor constraints, what do you truly think about blank? 10. In this moment, what is it that you don't ever want to experience in the future again with blank? The dark is referred to as the release the rage inside of Warrior that can only be answered in the dark of the drift. Now, I want you to notice that we're going after the specific person or event that caused the trigger in the first place. Why? To advance us to release completely uncensored. Release the rage is not a time to be nice. It's not a time to be sweet and accommodating. When we strategically attack in the dark, we assault them with words inside of the stack rather than in person. We're not nice when we attack. While in the dark of the Megastack, we use aggressive words and feelings like fuck and hate so we can clear all the rage. Remember, when we are using the Megastack, our desire in this first stage is to get the energy out in a controlled environment instead of random releases of passion released by yelling at our spouse and kids, getting upset at a client, firing team members that don't need to be fired, shooting up a mall or movie theater, and all sorts of stupid shit that pent-up rage brings about. Production strategy number 2, challenge the drift. Once we get all the rage released inside of our initial attack with production strategy 1, we can then move into strategy 2 as we challenge the purpose behind our drift. This is Section 3, the drift, of the Megastack, questions known as power focus. Here we will begin to insert ourselves into drifting experience on purpose because we have the shift coming up shortly in the third production strategy. In production strategy 2, however, we challenge our attack and release the rage with the following questions. 11. What are the facts about the situation that triggered you? 12. What is a story created by the trigger that you're telling yourself and others? 13. Describe the feelings that arise for you when you tell yourself that story. 14. Describe the specific thoughts or desired actions that arise for you when you tell yourself this story. 15. What evidence do you have to prove that this story is absolutely true? 16. When you look at the story, blank, is that story true? 17. What might be possible for you in this situation if this story was false? 18. Regardless of this emotional trigger with blank and the current story, what do you truly want for you beyond this situation? 19. What do you want for blank in this situation? 20. What do you want for you and blank in this situation? We're telling ourselves the story in a fill-in-the-blank format, but challenge the evidence all along the way until we unlock within ourselves a new possibility. In Section 3, The Drift, we're loosening ourselves up from the story of anger that sat in the core of rage, which leads to suppression and eventually shifting into expansion. But we're not there yet. While we are challenging the story in this section on The Drift, we're getting all those original emotions off the table. We're beginning to think more clearly, loosening and stretching out a bit more. Our words are no longer stuck like a frozen popsicle to our mouth, but melting as we give ourselves a chance to change. Production strategy number 3, shift and lift. We head into the shift of our story as possibilities begin to open up for us to lift us towards better versions of ourselves. This third production strategy entitles Section 4 and 5 of the Megastack questions, also known as production focus. We take the shift that we're championing for Section 3 while using production strategy 2, challenge the drift by looking at alternative stories in Section 4. 21. Question 21. Your original story is blank. What is the me version of that story? 22. What evidence do you have to prove this version of the story is true? 23. Your original story is blank. What is the opposite version of that story? 24. What evidence do you have to prove that this version of the story is true? 25. Your original story is blank. What is the desired version of that story? 26. What evidence do you have to prove that this version of the story is true? 27. Your original story is blank. What you say you want is blank. Will the original version of the story give you what you want? 28. Your me story is blank. What you say you want is blank. Will the me version of the story give you what you want? 29. Your opposite story is blank. What you say you want is blank. Will the opposite version of the story give you what you want? 30. Your desired story is blank. What you say you want is blank. Will the desired version of the story give you what you want? 31. Which version of the story are you choosing to assure you get what you want? The original, the me, the opposite, or desired? 32. Why are you choosing this story? There are multiple parts to these questions which force us to continually look at various versions of the story. This way, we can extract the truth in the drift from this shifted perspective. Once this is done, we move into the second part of the production strategy number 3, the lift, which applies to all 4 domains of our core 4 inside of the production focus. Megastack Section 5, the lift, 33. Why has this triggered situation with blank been positive for you? Question 34. What is a simple lesson you learned from this trigger? 35. How does this lesson apply to your body domain? 36. How does this lesson apply to your being domain? 37. How does this lesson apply to your balance domain? 38. How does this lesson apply to your business domain? After answering these simple yet crucial questions, we've shifted the story that was holding us prisoner in a karmic loop, stabilizing ourselves into a new story for a karmic lift. By taking all of the drifting experiences that we've attacked and challenged, we move towards the light, no longer blind as our eyes have been opened to the realization that this light that had been inside of the box on the drift bench was with us all along. Production strategy number 4, access the light. Now that we're coming to a conclusion of the Megastack, we see the fruits of our labors in what is known as the Revelation Roadmap. Light shines onto a new path of expansion, crystallizing the entire rage down into a revelation. This fourth and final stage within the production strategy section of the Attack with Stack series is also the 6th and final section inside of the Megastack, which are 39. What is the most significant insight or revelation you're leaving this stack with? 40. Why do you feel that this insight or revelation is significant? 41. What best describes your current state of being? 42. What action do you feel called to take driven by this insight or revelation? The lesson that we have been given to us course corrects from rage in the pit as we shift towards a new possibility, which will lift us to a new peak. Now you can see that we cannot access the light unless we are willing to fight in the night. The Megastack has allowed us to get real and raw with a story that comes with the inevitable drift that we are all experience on a regular basis. The Release the Rage experience in the first production strategy. Attack the Night helped us deal with shit that we could not get clear on because we were too consumed with intense feelings like anger, rage, and frustration. But once the air cleared on that, the story then got exposed to the truth in the production strategy number 2, challenging the drift, making us ready for the shift and lift inside of production strategy number 3. The final step, production strategy 4, accessing the light, gave us actionable insights that brings expansion and growth at seemingly unbelievable rates within our lives. The Megastack evolved into a tool that I encourage you to spend most of your time on in the first 3 to 6 months that you're learning the stack game. It doesn't mean that you can't do angry stacks, which we will be discussing in the next section, nor does it mean not to do happy stacks or gratitude stacks. What I promise you, based off my own life, as well as those of hundreds of others inside of Wake Up Warrior and my other companies that I've introduced stacking to, is that there are very few experiences in our world that we'll ever have that activates the power that has always been inside of us. Stacking allows us to project out into the world the power inside of a drift, especially after hitting the Megastack regularly.